Hello? Ugh, pollen's so horrible up here on Cape Cod. This is the part of the evening where I patiently wait for people to show up. Traditionally, it's not that long of a wait. Give you guys a few seconds, and until then, I'll just sort of fill the dead air. I shall enjoy one of my Fago lemon lime drinks. Yes, Fago, for you ICP fans out there, very popular drink from the Midwest. It's one of those local sodas that have like a grillion flavors. And Georgia Ayers, hey, good to see you. Good to see you. You haven't made it to my earlier ones, so I was really hoping you could make it for tonight's. Great to see you, and please have topics ready. Superplex. Happy 4th of July to you as well, old friend. And if my voice gets scratchy, again, if you missed it, the pollen count here on Cape Cod is absolutely hideous. Now I'm going to set it up here. I did this last time. Now you folks should be able to see each other's messages. Let me know if you can see the chat okay, and please let me know if you can hear me okay. We're having fellowship. Well, you must have known Superplex was here, so you must see the chats at least. So, yes. So we have a bunch of goodies for today, but I'm gonna wait for some more people to get in. So other than that, you guys, I hope we're having a good 4th. I had to run down to the hospital to get my wife some antibiotics, but she's resting quietly now. Ear infection, probably brought on by this killer pollen. Okay, let's see as people pour in. I'm going to say hello to Wad Jammin is in the house. Says hello everyone. Happy 4th. BK on the air is joining us, saying Happy Independence Day, Thrash. Yes, Happy Independence Day to you as well. So good to see you, BK. I'm very glad you were able to make it. And if you haven't checked out BK on the air, please do. He has some excellent blogs that talk basically about pop culture, nostalgia, the good stuff. And he just splices it with some old vintage commercials, which are almost as entertaining as the blog itself. So please check that out. Oh, and what Jemin, you should check out his set as well. If you like my dad jokes, you'll love what Jens. He actually brings an even higher grade of dad joke to the table, by the way. So, additionally, let's see, waiting for more people to pour in. Superplex, I believe it was you who brought this up last time. If not, I apologize. But someone was championing the cause of Robot Monster. They said it was a misunderstood sci-fi classic. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie and have seen it on many occasions, but I can't bring myself to call it a sci-fi classic. Please bring your thoughts to the table. I do have some notes. I have notes on all films. They're, of course, all in here, but I'm willing to revisit the matter with anyone who'd like to champion the case on either side. Oh, what, Jamin, you're very welcome for my kind words. I like to be kind. There's far too little kindness in the world. And you know who said that? The Emperor Nero. Anywho, yes, Superplex says it was a classic. So bad it was good. Well, I gotta tell you, I did, like I said, I do enjoy it, but the whole, oh wow, it was all a dream angle. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, don't they spend about 20 minutes just walking up and down hill? It reminded me of another film that great cast and some great animation, but The Lost Continent, where half the movie is just them rock climbing. I mean, you got to bring a little more to the table. One thing I loved, by the way, was you know why they used the space helmet and the monkey suit, right? Apparently, they were going to throw the monkey suit away because they had lost the headpiece. And the makers of the film said, no, 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 we'll make it work. And they used that ridiculous space helmet on top of the ape and turned it into the space monster. And for you Doctor Who fans out there, I'm sure Kenneth will be here shortly. Oh, speak of the devil. In the Sontaran experiment, the Sontaran gives reports to his superior, but it's the same person. It's supposed to be a clone. They borrowed that same shtick from Robot Monster. If you remember in Robot Monster, his commander is just him, I think, with like epaulets on his shoulders, where he actually gives orders to himself. Yeah, they borrowed that for some Tarn experiment. Saves on production value as well. Now, I've been pontificating, so it looks like some people made some comments. I'm going to race through these really quickly. Yes, you can hear me. That's always good. Ken Wilkinson, as I just said, is in the house. Good evening, Thrash. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to you too, Ken Wilkinson. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Tom Baker Doctor Who, the Sontaran Experiment. I believe that was the first Tom Baker installment I ever saw. Mr. Led in the house. Hey, Thrash and everybody, happy 4th. Can't stay, picnic. I'll catch on the replay. Well, it was super nice of you to join us, to take time out of a family picnic to come say hi to us. If you want to leave us that topic, I'd be happy to visualize it, discuss the matter in your absence, and then you can catch it on the replay. Zublik says, very lighthearted. You just have to go with the flow. I'm assuming we're still in reference to the Robot Monster. I like Robot Monster. I just can't bring myself to use the words classic. George Ayer says, what do you think of A Clockwork Orange? A Clockwork Orange is actually one of my favorite Kubrick films. It's super violent, and it's hard to get behind a movie where the main character is such a terrible person. It's a similar dilemma I have with The Boy and His Dog, and some others as well. But A Clockwork Orange is just an amazing film. First of all, I love the sort of how it's written in an almost alternate language. It's set in a not too distant future, but a sort of slang has taken over, and they really sell it. It feels authentic, and I thought Malcolm McDowell was outstanding in it. And if you can get past the ultra violence, I think the movie is really horror show. Oh, I have a pop up that keeps popping up when I'm trying to read. Did I freeze? Probably. There we go. Yeah, this pop up keeps popping into my screen, and it's always when I'm trying to read. Uh-oh. There we go. I'm sorry about that. The whole screen just blinked out at me for a second. I think when I was clearing that pop up, I hit the wrong button. Zublick says Claudia Barrett was gorgeous. She certainly was. I had the foundation in the house. He says, hey, everyone, you got to check out the foundation. He's doing a series. He takes acrylic colored pens and does these rapid little doodles. They're better than doodles, but he just rattles them off very quickly. He speeds up the motion, and he's been doing a series on various fears. And I've been doing a series of various snarky comebacks I give in regards to these little pictures. But they're a lot of fun and very cute. And I find them very soothing. Like I said, I love to watch them when I'm having my morning coffee. Oh, hey, Tom, the Hungry Jerk is in the house. Hi, Tom. He says, hi, guys. Zuplik says, was it Night of the Comet or Night of the Vomit? Is that a stab? Was that a dig? I love that movie. I had such a crush on Sam when I was a kid. It wasn't even funny. But I like Night of the Comet. And I don't know if any of you guys have done your homework. I don't label it as sci-fi horror or post-apocalyptic. I see it as a Christmas film. And I'm willing to defend that to anyone who will challenge this theory. Moving forward, a lot of people having fellowship with one another, saying Happy 4th of July and Happy 4th of July to you all as well, if I've forgotten to mention that while I was in the house. Oh, yeah, Superplex mentions the buffering. Yeah, like I said, I got a pop-up on my screen, and when I went to make it go away, I zoomed into it, and I think the action is what caused the buffering. No sound? Can you not hear me now? Hopefully this is Oh, back to normal, fortunately. Thank you, guys. Uh, I keep forgetting that your responses are usually slightly behind the uh, the actual actions. Georgie, you still can't hear me? It seems like everyone else has sound. Zuperlik said I did a little homework. Zuperlik also says Sam was the blonde. Yes, she was. The one who ran around the movie in a little cheerleader outfit. Which, again, folks, if you guys haven't seen my review of Night of the Comet earlier in my channel, um, Jaws Wheaton, who, when he was conceptualizing Buffy the Vampire Slayer, used Sam as the template. And a lot of people don't know that, even though it's really obvious when you watch it. Tom the Hungry Jerk says, saw Night of the Comet at the drive-in. I saw it in the theaters, and it was actually one of the first movies I bought on videotape. I think I'm actually on my second copy now. But, I think I know. I'm leaning on my elbow, and I think my elbow is in front of the microphone. So if that's an improvement, please let me know. Georgia says, my sound is so intermittent. Apologies. But again, think of a topic. Again, you guys, and any sci-fi topics, movies, film, horror topics as well, feel free to throw them out. I have a couple here that I'd like to address, but still waiting for someone to tell me I'm full of dingo's kidneys on Night of the Comet being a Christmas film. Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, first, it not only does it take place in Christmas, and it was a lot of it was set in a mall, which was an icon to the Christmas holiday back in the 80s. When I don't want to give the game away, but there's a very classic scene where a main character shows up on a rescue mission dressed as Santa Claus. And of course, there's always that traditional gift giving scene. In this case, they give the gift of firearms to kill zombies with. And of course, all right, spoiler alert. So if you don't want to have the end of Another Comet spoiled, block your ears for a second. Georgia, you can just keep doing what you're doing. But they even have a Christmas miracle. Everyone lives. Well, all the people we like are still alive, and that's enough of a miracle for me. Let's see. Hungry Jerk says 2 weeks till Jerry Mathers convention, Concord, California. There's a Jerry Mathers convention in Concord, California. Pity's on Concord, Mass. I might make it. He of course is also going to be joining Pat for his show Wednesday. I believe it's this Wednesday on Pat McCormick's The Golden Rage of TV. Jerry Mathers is going to be his guest for a conversation, and it should be a lot of fun. Zuberblex asks, does Elvis speak to you? No, he sings to me. That's right, baby. Thank you. Thank you very much. Back many years ago when I used to do karaoke, Burning Love was my go-to. Cindy D in the house. Hello, everyone. Hi, Thrash. I was really hoping you'd make it tonight, Cindy. Excellent. And in case you hadn't heard, by the way, I'm accepting any sort of sci-fi horror-related topics for this evening. Feel free, because I had to kind of wrap last week's up rather quickly, so I want to revisit anything we didn't get a chance to finish talking about from last week, if you guys remember. So far, all I can think of is little bits from Night of the Comet. Oh, look who's here. Retro Nerd Girl says, hi, Thrash Pondo Pawns. Hello to you too, Retro Nerd Girl. Guys, if you haven't gone to Retro Nerd Girl's channel, please do. She does some of the best, most comprehensive film reviews, mostly on sci-fi horror, but some other topics as well, and other film topics. She's done a couple Sword and Sandal and that type of thing. But go check out her reviews. They're some of the most entertaining and comprehensive on the internet at the moment. Let's see. Skipping down, a lot of people having fellowship. Hungry Jerk says, Heather main guest. Heather main guest. Okay, yes, Heather is the main guest. Zublix says, I thought the human race was wiped out. I said all the good people. The main character, well, not all the main characters, the people in the movie we liked survived. I mean, yeah, we all got wiped out, but you can't have everything now, can you? Oh, he's saying that Heather will be the main guest on the Golden Rage of TV. I'm so sorry. I had to piece that together through clues. But the Hungry Jerk then goes on to say he's the main guest. Well, someone's going to be the main guest. The foundation says it's of not a horror, but I've just started season 3 of The Boys, and not to give spoilers, there is some gruesome horror like stuff going on. Huh. I might have to check it out. I've heard some good things about it. Might have to check it out. Ken Wilkinson says, "In the day of the living dead, didn't everyone die?" If I remember correctly, I don't want to give away spoilers, but if I remember correctly, a helicopter full of people does manage to escape. Lisa Field says, "Hi, Thrash. Hi, everyone." Lisa, I'm so glad you could make it. Missed you the other night at Dave's live chat, but I hope you can make it to this one. Skipping down. Zublik says, "So how does the power grid run without personnel?" It's my understanding it would continue for a while before various stations started dropping like flies. It's automatically set up so if one station breaks down, it will go to another, then another, then another, then another. So it's not like hitting a kill switch. It would be a drop. But you raise an excellent point. The biggest problem in any post-apocalyptic event is not so much here, but still in Europe and other parts of the world. Nuclear power plants, if not shut down properly, will eventually go boom, right? And all these power plants that would most certainly not be shut down if everyone died suddenly would start to go boom. And I don't have the numbers, so I'm not going to like pull them out of my hat, but it's my understanding that the number of plants that would explode would be enough to hopelessly hurt the biosphere, at least as far as human survival. So even if you survive the event, it's only a matter of time before you get hit in the second wave. Georgia here says, "What do you think of 2001: A Space Odyssey?" I love it, but there are parts of it that I don't know. There's just parts of it that I feel just didn't quite work. Maybe I didn't have Kubrick's vision, but then again, who does? Richard, blah, blah, blah. See, I'm so busy trying to read what people write. I sometimes glass over their handles, so I sometimes trip over the words when I say their name. I'll try this again. I'll come in again. 3, 2. Retro Nerd Girl says, "You are so sweet." Well, it's praise that is well earned. And Zublik says, "What the hell are the boys?" It's a it's some new series that came out. Like I said, I've only caught like a blurb about it. But I remember from the blurb I saw it, it does look interesting. Gary Carpenter says, "Hello there, Mr. Thrasher, Mr. Carpenter. So good to have you in the house. Thank you for joining us." And again, we're looking for any type of sci-fi topics that perhaps we didn't get a chance to thoroughly visit last week. Let's see what got going on here. Oh, it says Lisa Field says Superflex. It's a show on Prime. Yeah, I knew it was on one of the streaming services. Cindy D says, "What is your favorite sci-fi TV show? I missed it. Mine's Lost in Space. Danger, Will Robinson." You know, that's an excellent question. We were just talking about that the other night. That's an excellent question. Probably my favorite TV show of all time, of the science fiction variety, I would have to go with the Twilight Zone. Even though they're not all science fiction, I would have to go with the Twilight Zone. Other than that, something specifically science fiction, Planet of the Apes. I loved the Planet of the Apes franchise. One of my favorite shows of all time is The Fugitive, and because it was basically The Fugitive in a sci-fi setting, I thought it really worked. But of course, that's the case a lot of times. Most good U.S. science fiction is effectively The Fugitive with a sci-fi backdrop. Prove me wrong. I have a post about that earlier too. You know, you people really need to go back and watch some of my earlier posts. Please. and likes and comments and all that sort of goody good stuff. Zurplex says they will melt down, not explode. We quibble over terms. They'll release an awful lot of nasty radiation into the biosphere. But yes, not go boom, more go China syndrome. Cindy D says if. I'm guessing she's asking about the movie If. I've never actually seen it, and I'm a huge Malcolm McDowell fan, and I'm very ashamed I've never seen the movie If. College roommate absolutely loved that film. Used to talk about it. I wouldn't say incessantly, but a lot. Hungry Jerk says the digital effects on 2001 were animation. I believe I knew that. And in fact, I believe they actually had to invent the technology to make them. You know what the thing about the 2001 is? I think it might have worked better. And I know it was an epic, but it actually may have worked better as a mini series where they could have dealt with the specific chapters in a little more detail. Somehow, parts of it felt a little rushed, and parts of them just seemed to take forever. I guess the short answer is the pacing was off in some areas, but I do thoroughly like 2001. Ken Wilkinson says I have all 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on DVD. That would be a really fun binge watch. It was really a good show. I thought it was very clever, very funny, just enough action without being redundant, and the stories by and large were pretty solid. A lot of them were basically borrowing from old vintage sci-fi horror, the old Hammer films and night galleries and stuff like that. But that's okay. I mean, homages work because they borrow from earlier good stuff. I always wanted at a time when I was doing a little fan fiction writing, I actually came up with an idea of doing a variation of The Devil Is Not Mocked and doing it as an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Uh, Basically, a German ski team comes over as part of a tournament, and you find out they're actually vampire hunters, and uh, their coach was a German soldier in World War II who had diverted troops to reinforce Stalingrad to wipe out a hellmouth in Hungary or Romania. I forget where I actually said it, but if you've read "The Devil Is Not Mocked," it would basically be that. That would be the precursor to this Buffy episode, and Buffy teams up with these German kids who at first they think are terrorists, but are actually fellow vampire hunters. And of course, Giles very sketchy about it, him being English, and I lost an auntie in the Blitz. And it could have worked, but they canceled the show before I could finish writing its story of my life. Danny Staten in the house. OMG, I got no text. I told you 3 times during your live chat this past Saturday, was it? That I was having the show tonight at 7:30. Oh, well, my own darn fault. I should have gone for 4. Gary Carpenter says, I've got all the Addams Family on DVD. It was, what, 3 seasons or 2? The Foundation says, Buffy was a staple part of my teens. Very popular here in the States, too. Superplex says, if the human race expires, there would be no running water, nor electricity, nor supermarkets to supply. Because consumables. Yes, you are correct. I can't argue with you there. Oh wow, just got a blam. Hang on. I'm sorry. Must have been a bunch of comments here. I'm backing up because I seem to have lost a bunch of. Oh, here we are. Lance Chafin in the house. Lance Chafin says, "Hi, gang." The Foundation says, "I used to love Erie, Indiana." I vaguely remember that show. I remember being good, but I don't have a huge recollection. What Jemin says, I really enjoyed Quantum Leap. They're showing Quantum Leap on the Sci-Fi Channel again. If you don't mind more commercials than actual showtime. Zublik says best was Star Trek the original series. These are all great sci-fi shows, by the way. Loved all of them. There were very few science fiction shows I didn't like, but yes, these are all good ones. Skipping down. Tracy Rossmeyer says, "Hey, all, sorry I am late. I will forgive you this time." A lot of people having fellowship. Cindy D says, "I love the Twilight Zone and the Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I watch them every night on MeTV. I love the Alfred Hitchcock Hour as well, by the way. Didn't do a lot of science fiction, but they did Special Delivery, which is an adaptation of that old Ray Bradbury story about the kids who try to grow mushrooms for fun and profit, and they end up being a mind controlling fungus that takes over everyone. But yes, I did love the Alfred Hitchcock Hour as well. Superplex says, "Did he do something lucky, or didn't he do lucky something or other?" Yes, he did. Skipping down. Oh, number one dude in the house. Happy 4th, Thrash. Happy 4th of July to you as well, number one dude. Thank you. I'm just trying to catch up with some of these other comments here. A lot of people just having fellowship, which again, Dave said it best, but he said we are a community. Yes, we are. And the fact that so many people love chatting just with each other is great as well. Oh, that's Jeff and Axe, an excellent question. Thrash, how is Ian doing? He's I can't say he's doing well, but he's hanging in there, which is about as well as he can be expected. They were married forever. I think they were married longer than my wife and I were. So, but he's holding up. Danny Skaten says, "I told you to remind me 4th of July got me wide open and super busy." You did. I'm wicked sorry. I should have reminded you again. Yeah, oh, that's right. I was supposed to send you a text on my phone. Okay, this is all coming back to me now. I'm so sorry. It's kind of been a long. I work in hospitality. It's been kind of a crazy weekend. Somehow I got it stuck in my mind that you had already known that it was going on. I promise. Next time I'll text you before the show. Promises. Pinky promise. Crisscross applesauce. Tom the Hungry Jerk says, "Loved Lost in Space. Very campy." I did love Lost in Space. Cindy D concurs. Zuberbleck says, "Buffy the Vampire Slayer told Donald Sutherland, 'Does Elvis speak to you?'" We're back to the Elvis speaks to you. I don't remember the movie. In fact, I think I only saw the show, which is probably why I didn't catch the reference when you and or others said it to me earlier. But yes, Elvis does speak to me. And again, Burning Love was one of my go-tos. And no, I'm not going to sing it tonight. Ken Wilkinson says, "Did you ever see The Invaders Thrash?" Yes, I did. The only problem was when it was on. I believe it is actually on again, by the way, on MeTV or something. But many years ago when I was watching it, I had trouble catching them in order. And it became a little disjointed. I love the show, but I wasn't able to completely follow the drama. But I did enjoy it. It's an excellent show. Zublik says, "I missed this last live chat. I missed his last live chat." That was the one on favorite 60s and 70s science fiction shows, I believe. Danny State and laugh out loud. I'll take that as you forgive me. Good. Cindy D says, "We are praying, ENC. Please let him know if you talk to him, Thrash." I certainly will. I have to talk to him this Thursday, I believe. He's doing a show with somebody else, but I think I needed to talk to him about something. I have it written down somewhere. I've started taking notes about things I have to do, by the way. I've become such a scattered brain. I think I have a COVID cloud in the mind. Tracy Rosmeyer says, "Ian has been through way too much in his life." He certainly has. Hungry Jerk says, "The second time I saw Star Wars was the day Elvis died." Really? That would have been 78? It was right around my birthday. My birthday is August 18th, and it was right around then too. Liz Chaffin says, I loved Warehouse 13, good show. I don't recall that show. I did like what was Friday the 13th, the TV series, which I believe was Canadian. But again, haunted items. The Foundation says if you guys could create a crossover of two sci-fi and/or horror shows, films, what would they be? Easy. Land of the Lost, Planet of the Apes. Easy peasy. I've wanted that since I was a kid. The ape troopers on horseback would lasso Grumpy and bring him down. There'd be a fight between Sleestaks and ape soldiers. Uh, just all kinds of goodies. But that would between ape soldiers and dinosaurs, it would have been the best show ever. As a book says, live chat is ENC's therapy. At least I like to think so. He actually said that in so many words. Monday night, when we were doing some work, I asked him if he was up to it, and he said, "I kind of need to do this." When he's in his house and there's nothing going on, that's when it really, really hurts. Oh, look who's in the house! Elias. Elias says, "Happy 4th, Bob." Happy 4th to you as well, by the way, and say hi to your young lady for me as well. By the way, Elias is going to be doing some graphics for my channel, make it a little more professional looking. Can't do much about the talent, but he can certainly do some with the computer graphics. Cindy D says, does the Jetsons cartoon qualify as science fiction? I'd say it certainly does. Can be science fiction, but some of the best science fiction is campy. Lisa Fields concurs. Warehouse 13 was good, Lance. I enjoyed it. Danny Staten says, I got Invader's original gold key and original Monsters from 1968 this week. Danny's been doing some absolutely amazing stuff with comic books lately. He does these read-throughs with comic books, and they're a lot of fun. So check it out, by the way. And Danny and Dave also have a show going on this Wednesday, by the way. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. I'm going to be with the Action Elite this Wednesday. They've invited me to do their show on each member's top 5 John Carpenter films. I'm betting there'll be a lot of crossover. Please check that out. The Foundation says I'm going with Gremlins taking on Doctor Who. See if they can't mess the TARDIS up. Ooh! If the Gremlins got into the TARDIS and then he couldn't get them out? The Doctor must have some type of anti-gremlin device. But it could certainly work. You know what'd be funny? If you had to team up with the Master to get rid of them. Zuplex says the Alien and Freddy Krueger. Oh, that'd be great. He could slash them with his fingers and they would bleed acid all over him. Yeah, that could work. Make a righteous mess. The Foundation says, oh yeah, great answer, Thrash. Thank you. About the Land of the Lost / Planet of the Apes crossover. Thanks. Again, as a kid, I thought it was a great idea. I actually think it's a better idea as an adult, but thank you for your concurring. Oh, the concurring of Planet of the Apes. And the Foundation also likes Superplex answer as well. Oh, Zuplex goes on to say Freddy Krueger haunts the alien, making them get hooked on crystal meth. Do aliens sleep? But he says he'd watch either way. Retro Nerd Girl says my mashup would be Silver Bullet and Logan's Run. Ooh. Oh yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Mine would be Silver Bullet and Lone Ranger. That'd be slick. A Lone Ranger werewolf crossover. But Retro Nerd Girl, I like yours better. Zuberblick says, love comic books, but especially the old ones from the 60s when Jack Kirby did a Marvel and the Fourth World Series. Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. And this is a long shot. All I can remember is the cover. This would have had to have been from the early mid 70s. There was one of those horror comics, the ones that had these like really creepy covers. And all I remember about it is the cover, but there's a story in there that I can't remember. So I want to find this comic so I can revisit what the story was. Something about a really creepy monster a kid brings up. Anyway, I forget. But the cover is there's this guy, he looks like a transient or a troll transient, and he's on the bed in what looks like a really, really nice house, and he's having like an out of body experience where his soul is like being lifted out of his body, and these people who are standing shiva for him at the doorway are just sort of like watching in horror as the spirit leaves the body. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? And it's okay if you don't, because half the time I don't know what I'm talking about. But if anybody knows what that comic is, let me know. Because again, I remember there was a story that scared the Bee Gees out of me when I was a kid. And I can't remember what the story was anymore because I'm going back 50 years. And so I'm throwing it out to you guys. Skipping down there, people saying hello to each other. Oh, the Foundation says, I don't think I know Silver Bullet Retro Nerd Girl, but no doubts it's another good answer. Silver Bullet is a loose adaptation of a Stephen King short story. Werewolf disturbing a small community. Kids decide to take the werewolf on to free the community. Gary Busey is in it and does a very good job. And he actually when he goes to the a gunsmith to make some handmade bullets out of silver, he tells it because his kids have discovered the Lone Ranger, so he uses the Lone Ranger as a cover story as to why he's making silver bullets. Skipping down. Denny Staten has put in a link for the show he's going to be doing with Dave Sundstrom this Wednesday. Feel free to click on it. If you can't make the Action Elite and make mine, please make theirs. I know we can't do both, but please one or the other. Oh, Hungry Jerk says DC had creepy comics in the early 70s. A lot of people. Horror was really big. In fact, I used to love to go over to visit my grandparents because my uncles always had the really cool, scary comics that my father hated me reading because then I'd be up crying because I was so scared. But I just loved them. The Foundation says versus not can. Not sure what he's responding to. Could have been something that I missed earlier. Lance Chavin said Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I love the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It is delicious sci-fi schlock. The song is one of the catchiest theme songs in history. In fact, I have it stuck in my head now. Thank you very much. But yeah, check out Killer Clowns if you get a chance. It's a great schlock 80s comedy sci-fi movie. Oh, and the girl from the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the blonde, the Scream Queen. What is her name? She's in it though as well. Cindy D said, I saw that some people believe that Marvel comic movies are too religious and immoral. Do you think so? It has the themes of hope and love, which are religious. The ultimate avenger is Jesus. I guess there is a religious angle in the Marvel movies, but they actually mentioned that in Rick and Morty, by the way, about how the biblical template holds up actually in a number of different action franchises, just because the stories are so similar. Gary Carpenter says, "Yeah, Lance, and I wasn't too crazy about them," meaning the I'm guessing he's referring to the old creepy comics. Retro Nerd Girl says The Thing and the Blob would be interesting as a crossover. Yeah, I could really see how that would work. And by the way, The Thing is one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, if not my favorite John Carpenter movie. I'm I'm battling to see what the number one spot is, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go with the Thing. But yeah, it would be fun watching the two of them battle it out. In fact, there's a great theory somewhere here on YouTube somewhere where they suggest at the end that can't, Kurt Russell, whatever his name is in the movie, I can't drawing a blank here, but that he actually is infected by the Thing, and he is actually a rival split off splinter of the Thing, and that apparently the things can actually, just because they all spawn from the same initial entity doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the same side. And I thought that's kind of a neat theory. Uh, but let's see, skipping down. Garrett Carpenter says, sorry, I meant that for Superplex. Lisa Fields also like the killer clowns from outer space. Tom, the Hungry Jerk says EC had creepy comics till the government practically put a ban on them. The story about the comic book code, in fact, I heard someone's actually making a movie about the original comic book code, but the story of the comic book code is actually so heartbreaking and such a violation of the First Amendment. And I'm not going to get into politics because I swore I would never get into politics on my channel. But what they did to the comic books for decades is something, well, they should really be ashamed of. It was reprehensible. And yes, they destroyed EC Comics, which, while maybe they sailed a little close to the wind, were thoroughly entertaining and should not have been gutted as they were. Lance Chafin has an excellent, albeit disturbing, suggestion. Chud and humanoids from the deep crossover. Yes, I can certainly see that. But again, as most movies are pretty disturbing, it might get a little bleak. Whisper the Freak is in the house. Whisper, I am so glad you were able to join us, by the way. Hoping you'd make it. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate. I see. He already did the crossover. Willy Wonka and the Monster Factory. That could work. And anything Willy Wonka, because the underlying stream of horror could just be brought out very, very well. I'd actually go with Willy Wonka and Young Frankenstein. How that would actually work, I'm still working on, but they're just two of my favorite movies. While we're on the subject, Whisper the Freak, if you haven't gone to his site, please do. He's doing some absolutely amazing stuff. He does hip hop music, but with a sort of horror backdrop. He has a rendition of The Raven, which rivals Vincent Price's. It's absolutely amazing. Most people, when they do The Raven, it's this very sort of modern, once upon a midnight dreary, which works fine. It works fine, but I've always thought The Raven works better if it's done a little more up tempo, almost like beat poetry. And I'm not going to do any rap, so don't worry. I'm not going to do the travesty with my singing voice, but I will tell you, his is a much more up tempo rendition, and it's absolutely amazing. And there's some great graphics he's added. He also just turned me on to something, and I'm actually trying to do some digging to find out more about it. He reads a segment from a book called The Benefit of Blind, I think it's called, which reminded me of a lot of an old Brian Aldiss novel, one of his longest, if I remember correctly, something called The Malaysia Tapestry, which is set on an Earth where there was no extinction event for the dinosaurs. So they've evolved into Homo saurien. And it's like an alternate history of what the world will be like in this sort of, it's like a medieval technological level, but it's dinosaurs, not humans. And humans have evolved, and there's these sort of almost like pests, like rodent type situations that infest the outlying areas and are hunted by the dinosaurians. But I'm getting off topic here. The Benefit of Blindness, it seems to me, based on the segment that I got to hear, it again is in some type of alternate timeline of Earth, and it's this completely alien biosphere, and it seems almost that most of life is based on like some type of wild insect development situation. It could be reptilian. I haven't quite got that far, but it's set again in a sort of pre-industrial society, and let's just say Whisper the Freaky made it sound really, really interesting. So check out his channel if you do get a chance. By the way, he has some excellent stuff on there, and I'll tell him Thrash sent you, but of course he already knows because he's on my live chat. Skipping down. Zuplex says, Hungry Jerk, you never saw the Batman film with Adam West? Oh, I love the Batman film with Adam West. The Foundation said, let's add some Venom symbiote to the thing and see how messed up that could get. I see where you're going with this. Trey Throws Myers says, sorry guys, I have been when I get a lot of messages all at the same time, they go beep. So I just lost what Tracy was saying. Hang on, I'll go back to that in a second. Oh, here it is. I have been doing housework and getting ready for work tomorrow at the same time. Laugh out loud. No worries, no worries. I'm glad you decided to take some time out to make it. You got to take that time out for yourself now. Daryl Johnson in the house says, hi, guys. Hello to you too, Daryl. Skipping down. Cindy D, has a good suggestion. What about Carrie mashed up with Christine? Yes, and that could be the car that John Travolta drives. In Carrie, it could turn out to be Christine, which would give away how how the movie ends and who won. Zuplex says he thwarted a rubber shark. You just gave away the best part of that movie, Superplex. You should be ashamed of yourself. A lot of people saying hello to each other, skipping down. Danny Skaten says that sounds cool. Lance Chafin says Hidden and Slither. That would make a great movie mashup. There are some great movie mashup concepts here. We should start a GoFundMe and make some of these. Tracy Rose Myers says, I wish they would have a sci-fi marathon. I don't know who they is, but yes, I agree. You can't have too many sci-fi marathons. Whisper the Freak says, wow, thank you, sir. That's high praise. I'm a huge Vincent Price fan. Well, it's well-deserved praise. Again, you have some great material there, and I wanted to make sure that my loyal followers, fans, friends, all go and check you out. Cindy D says, yo, thrash raps. No, I can't. I'm sorry. On a good day, I can do some beat poetry. Like, oh, wait, I have to get into character. Like, twinkle, twinkle, little bat. How I wonder where you're at. Up above that firma terra. Like a day off with Mia Thera. Crazy. And that's the best you're going to get. Anyway. Trailer Myers says, on the 4th of July, like the classics. Hungry Jerk says, I used to rap one I cooked at the Chinese restaurant. I know where this is going. They called me Vanilla Rice. I was going to go with Walk and Roll, but we'll call it a rep. Lance Chafin said Power Rangers and the Pacific Rim crossover. Yeah, that'd work. That'd work. Gary Carpenter says, I don't mind heroes and horror mixed up together. Yeah, I can see. A lot of people laughing at Vanilla Rice. Rice, baby. Danny Skaten says Mandela effects. He's been doing a few of the Mandela effects on his channel as well, by the way. He has a great one on the opening of Days of Our Lives. And anyway, just check it out because there's actually two things that he found different. Well, he found one thing different. I found another thing different. But check it out and let us know what you remembered the opening saying from Days of Our Lives was. Cindy says they have. It just went blank again. Wow. Getting a lot of comments. That's nice. But every now and then it causes my screen to go zip. And here it is. They have an 80s marathon now on AMC. Tracy, no sci-fi though, which is a pity because there was some great sci-fi in the 80s. Zuplik says, I used to rap for a British girl band. They called me Vanilla Spice. I should have seen that one coming. Uh, and let's skipping down. A lot of people having reactions to Superplex. Oh, Twitter, Ross Myers says, I like 2001, Space Odyssey, and The Time Traveler. I don't recall The Time Traveler. Whisper the Freak says, thanks so much, Thresh. Yeah, thanks so much, Thresh. The Benefits of Blindness is a series I'm writing under my pseudonym, Cotton Common. I was wondering who Cotton Common was, so you're Cotton Common. Well, that's okay, because I'm Thrash Pondo. That Aldous novel sounds super interesting. I just ordered another one of his on Amazon. Was it Graybeard? You know, we're gonna have to do a read along. I'm gonna have to start actually doing these read alongs we've been talking about for some time because you're causing me to actually rediscover all this myself. Actually, and yes, the Malicious Tapestry it's big. It's like 350 pages, but it's excellent. And anyway, check it out, please. Oh, the Foundation says smashed it, Thrash. Oh, thank you. Whisper the Freak says yes, that made my day. Love the sunglasses. Thank you. They're my wife's. When did I get my wife's sunglasses? You know, I wear my sunglasses at night. So I can. What is it, folks? Watch you live and weave your storylines. You have to check out my uh, 80s song lyrics post as well, by the way, where I quiz people on how well they remember those 80s sing along classics. And thank you. I'll be sure to bring you more beat poetry later. Gary Carpenter says, I've always loved the Raven, then why don't you marry it? Oh, he's like, stop. Thanks. Cats and kittens. Whisper the Freak said Vanilla Rice is great. It really is. Vanilla Spice is good too. Cindy D says, on your beat poetry. Lance Chafin says, call him Uncle Ben. I love it. Zuplik says, Mandela effects. Is that like bringing the races together? No, the Mandela effect, if you're being serious, the Mandela effect is actually when events that we remember very, very vividly from before are actually can be proven to be different contemporarily. And there's two possibilities to it. One is the more mundane, is that we just misremembered things. But when it's massive collections of people that misremember things, they speculate there might be some type of time slips, and that these time slips are causing things from alternate timelines to come in. So, sort of like a Back to the Future situation, where you wake up one day and your parents are rich when they were poor your whole life when you went to bed. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Lance Chafin says RoboCop and the Terminator. That'd be amazing. Or RoboCop and Buckaroo Banzai, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. The Foundation says, on the note of the Mandela effect, do you guys have the one about the Walkers / Lay's crisps swapping color of cheese and onion and the salt and vinegar? I don't recall that one. No, I don't. I will tell you one. Has anyone seen the old book? Who gets the drumstick? It was made into a movie called Yours, Mine, and Ours. Who played the father in Yours, Mine, and Ours? If you say Henry Fonda, as of today, you are correct. But I remember Jason Robards being the father in Yours, Mine, and Ours, and I can remember him wearing the white naval uniform and doing the scene. He's actually that one very specific scene where Lucy makes him put the beer back, and he kind of rolls his eyes as he hands it back over to them. I remember that as being Jason Robards vividly, and that must be an alternate universe because in this one it's Henry Fonda. Let's see. Gary Carpenter says, "I think Godzilla and Gamera would work together to help our planet." Well, yes, but in the first movie, they have to fight each other. It would always Godzilla always has to be your enemy before he becomes your friend. Um, Gary Carpenter also says, sort of like the Commandy comics or Planet of the Apes. I'm not familiar with Commandy comics. I do like Planet of the Apes. Zuplik says, like sands through the hourglass. Do do? I think you mean so are the days of our lives. I say it's these are the days of our lives. Like sand through the hourglass, these are the days of our lives. And it's sand, not sands. There was somebody else who said these are the days of our lives as well. Um, you might be right, Zoop. So I'm going to give it to you, but other people, Trey Rose Myers, like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. Another person said so. Um, yeah, yeah. Zoop Blake's just cut on. Damn you, autocorrect. Hungry Jerk says, I invented crack whore poetry too. Must have been fun to invent. The Foundation says, classic song, one of my favorites. Lance Chaffin says, Corey Hart, give the man a cigar. Whisper the Freak says, Nonstop by Brian Aldiss. That was actually his first novel. And I have like 2 copies of it because it was actually released. I always get these backwards. In the United States, it was called Starship. It was called Nonstop in England. And I actually bought the 2 copies, not realizing they were the same novel. So now I have both. But yeah, that was one of his early ones. It still holds up today. I can't say a word about it. It's one of the ones that's much more fun if you read it. Trey Myers says Old Spice. The Foundation says, I actually LOL'd at, so why don't you marry it? I never grew up. I'm so sorry. Whisper the Freak says, what was the name of that Aldous novel you were referring to? The alternate timeline with the dinosaurians. That's called the Malaysia Tapestry. Malaysia. It's actually set in, I'll make a really long story short. It's set actually in the Balkan Peninsula. Brian Aldiss was obsessed, absolutely obsessed with the former country Yugoslavia, specifically Serbia. But he spent many, many, many months driving around the Balkan Peninsula, fell in love with the place. He actually wrote a travel book about it. It's so funny. He actually wrote a travel book so he could defer the cost of his trips to there. But as a result, he loved like the city names and whatnot. So he actually based the Malaysia Tapestry on the Balkan Peninsula. 23 Reminder says, I actually watched Days of Our Lives. So is it really So Are the Days of Our Lives and I've been misremembering it all these years? Or have they gotten to you too? Denny Skaten says, here's one for you. Picture the greatest American hero on your mind. Yeah, now his cape is red, right? Wrong, it's now black. If you're referring to Superman, I'd almost be willing to bet you that his cape has always been red. But unless you're referring to Batman, and his has always been black. But get back to me. Lance Javen says Dr. Giggles and the Dentist crossover. I can see that. I'm sorry, my computer just froze on me. Fear not, folks. Yeah, here it is. Retro Nerd Girl says, I thought for a long time Corey Hart said in Sunglasses at Night, I cut the sky with a blade and share the road. I don't think he said that, but that'd be a great line if he did. I cut the sky with a blade and share the road. I love it. City D said Steve Martin in the remake. We're referring to Yours, Mine, and Ours. Yes. But was it Jason Robards in the original, or was it Henry Fonda? Oh yes, and Retro Nerd Girl. I actually do. I've had a couple posts where I take '80s classic songs, sing alongs that people all think they know the words to, and then quiz people on how well they know the lyrics. I do them in two parts. The first one is the questions, and the second installment is the answers. Check it out. A lot of people thought they were a lot of fun. Gary Carpenter says, "Okay, Wolfman Jack." Thank you. I always thought he was great. Although when I was a kid, I used to think he was an actual Wolfman. The foundation said it's a big Mandela effect here in the UK. Scandalous. Whisper the Freak says, I just bought Buckaroo Banzai's latest, the third, I believe, against the World Crime League et al. It's the first one I've read in the series. I picked it up and couldn't put it down at Barnes and Noble. They were actually going to make a series of films, but unfortunately, the first one back in 84, 85, it did kind of poorly, so it kind of killed the franchise. Pity, because I thought if it caught on, it could have been a lot of fun. Um, let's see. City D says, My mom loved Days of Our Lives. Ken Wilkins says, I used to watch Passions. Tracy Rosmeyer says, My guilty pleasure is the Days of Our Lives in General Hospital. I had a lot of friends when I was in middle school who watched General Hospital, believe it or not. Gary Carpenter says, Jerk is named after Nelson Mandela, who they thought died in the 90s. Apparently that was the first case of Mandela effect. There was a lot of people remembered Mandela dying sometime in the 90s, even though he didn't die well into the 21st century. But people swore they remembered his death, his funeral, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And apparently there's some textbook, not in the States, in some foreign country, there was a textbook that actually printed an article about Mandela's death. And they used that as proof that these times were occurring, that there was actually concrete evidence from these alternate universe that were slipping in and affecting ours. Now, it could have just been a misprint, but that's the most concrete case. And henceforth, it's been called the Mandela effect. And again, it's anytime there is a speculated case of an alternate universe spilling into ours and leaving some degree of alteration in our timetable. Fun theory. Skipping down. Superblick says, so what happened to Night of the Comet? No one picked up the standard and questioned on whether or not it would count as a Christmas movie. So I'm just going to run with it. Christmas movie. Wink. Night of the Comet is officially a Christmas movie. Count it. Unless anybody wants to pick up the standard now. But yes, of course, it also counts as a zombie movie, a post-apocalyptic movie, a sci-fi movie, and a horror movie. But I'm going to count it as a Christmas flick. A lot of people talking about soap operas. Oh, here's something. Whisper the Freak says, have you read Nostrilla? I have not. Sorry. Feel free to mention it further down the chat. Traithros Myers says, so it will be said. It certainly will. Skipping down, Daryl Johnson says Mandela effect is false memory. I actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually said a little further down that that's the logical suggestion theory that people just misremember things. But when huge segments of the population all misremember a certain thing the same way, that's where the theory of the Mandela effect comes up with, and that's much more interesting than just people with bad memory. Hungry Jerk says, to the foundation, my dad was born in Newcastle. Oh, very interesting. Danny Staten, wow, Greatest American Hero TV show from the 1989 starring William Kett. Oh, that superhero. Oh, I thought you were talking about Superman. You meant the Greatest American Hero, and his cape changed color. It actually might have. Honest to God, I don't recall. I remember his red uniform. I don't remember the color of the cape though. Daryl Johnson says Henry Fonda. Yes, that's. I actually lost an argument when I was working at the video store. Lady came in and asked for This is how the whole thing started, at least with me. Lady asked for Yours, Mine, and Ours with Henry Fonda, and I said, I think you'll find that was Jason Robards, and she was ever so happy when it turned out I was wrong. People used to love to prove me wrong when I went to the video store. Gary Stin said his cape change color was red, now is black. So I'll buy that. Superblick says it was Brian Keith because they mixed those two movies with Six You Get Egg Rolls. Another country heard from. Jason Robards did a remake, according to Gary Carpenter. Huh? I did not know that. I think I missed a couple here. What Jevin says, who could it be? Believe it or not. Oh, it's just me. Yeah, the phone message from Seinfeld. Believe it or not, I'm not home. Cindy D says Dark Shadows of the Edge of Night were kind of sci-fi. I could see that. More horror, but certainly that there was a bit in there. Skipping down, Whisper the Freak says I just picked up Lovecraft County. I'm sorry, Lovecraft Country by Ruff and the other day. Also, I'm enjoying it thus far. I saw the first season. It was actually really, really good. If you haven't seen Lovecraft Country, check it out. It's very interesting. Gary Carpenter says Henry Fonda. So I will defer. Oh, and Jason Robards did a remake. Daryl Johnson asked, did it happen during Christmas? None of the comment happened during the Christmas season. I believe if I followed the last day, it's actually on Christmas Day. Hungry Jerk says, missed put on getting free autograph of the girls from Out of the Comet. Oh, if I read that correctly, he could have gotten autographs from the girls from Out of the Comet, but missed the opportunity. Sorry to hear that. Gary Carpenter goes on to say, Commandi Comics were with the DC Comics. Oh, okay. Now I'm with you. Zuberblick says, you couldn't tell it was at Christmas because it took place in LA. Yeah, but they kept talking about Christmas incessantly, and the mall was all decked out for Christmas. And I'm going to say it was Christmas. Daryl Johnson says, well, I had a memory of my sister falling in an open grave. It never happened. Wow. What a creepy false memory. Brian Keys with 6 Good Egg Roll. Yeah, I got the joke. Whisper the Freak says, a Nostrilla by Coriander Smith. Remarkable, interesting life outside of writing. He worked as a diplomat in the British Foreign Service. His godfather was Sun Yat-sen. The book is really interesting. I thought Coriander Smith was Harlan Ellison's nom de plume. Lance Chaffin says, all spice, 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 baby. Spice must flow. Remember, we've already covered Dune. Gary Carpenter says, Commandi Comics was set in an alternate universe, future, like that of Planet of the Apes. Oh, excellent, excellent. Tracy Meyer says, Lance, high karate is better than allspice. Very clever. Thanks, I needed that. Remember the old thanks, I needed that shtick. Zublick says, Yours, Mine, and Ours with 6 You Get Egg Rolls were both released in 1968. That would make a good crossover. You know, with give me a second. With 6 you get 18. Hungry Drake said missed out. Bummer. Gary Carpenter says, Yours, Mine, and Ours was a great movie. I've seen it several times. Yes, it is, which is why I thought it was odd that I would remember the star improperly. I'm drinking Fago for you ICP fans out there. Zublik says Doris Day must hate you, hungry jerk. Well, that's not very nice. Wow, I seem to have actually caught up with the messages. I'm so surprised. Holy cow, it's almost 9 o'clock. Well, I'm game for continuing if you guys are. I don't have any particular plans at this time, and pretty much all the ladies in the house are either asleep or preoccupied, so I am unneeded at this time. Lance Chafin says Megaforce and Delta Force. In that they're both bad. Ooh, that's right. I went there. Okay, Delta Force wasn't too bad. Kind of 80s super patriotism, but come on, Megaforce. Oh, my favorite shtick for Megaforce. What was the guy's name? The guy who played Swan in the Warriors. I just saw the Warriors last night. Actually, he said the Warriors opened up a lot of doors, and then Megaforce closed them all. I remember, I believe it was Leonard Maltin said at the time when Megaforce came out, he said, Megaforce is an action farce so bad on a scale from 1 to 10, it doesn't even register. But to those of you who like Megaforce, I'm sorry, I'll stop making fun of it. But it's up there with Howard the Duck. It's one of those like legendary fails. But it might have made a good crossover with Delta Force. Zuplik says, "What the hell is Fago?" Fago is didn't I cover this at the beginning of the show? I must be having false memories. Fago is a local soda concern from somewhere in the Midwest, Michigan, I want to say, but somewhere out in that area. And it's a soda. Well, here we have like Polar soda, and what they do is it's they're known for making all kinds of funky flavors, sort of like Shasta, but it's localized. It's not like really a huge national chain, and it's probably best known because if any of you remember the hip hop group ICP, they loved Fago. They used to actually throw full bottles of it off the stage when you went to one of their concerts. And I hope that answers your question. This flavor, by the way, is all they had at the store I went to was cola and like a lemon lime. So I had the lemon lime. Too much cola, I started climbing the walls. Cindy D says 8 p.m. Central. Yeah, you guys forget I'm on the East Coast. In fact, you can't get much more East Coast than I am. I'm on Cape Cod. And if I went about another 5 or 6 miles that way, my feet would be wet. And I'd be swimming with the sharks. We have great whites all over the Cape now. Well, not all over, just in the water around the Cape. But yeah, there's actually, if you guys go on YouTube and look Cape Cod sharks, and we're not talking like little dogfish here. No, we're talking like 15, 16-foot great whites. Haven't had a documented attack in a few years, which is good. And if you stick to the precautions, usually you're okay. But they actually have services out here that take you out on a boat so you can see the great whites now. Trader Rosmeyer says, not going to see the fireworks, LOL. Speaking about Cape Cod's biosphere and our local flora and fauna, there is a bird called the Piper Clover. It's this little tiny thing. It looks like it looks like sandpiper, and apparently they're endangered. And they canceled the fireworks this year in my town because it was disturbing the Piper Clover. So, nope, no fireworks on 4th of July. Skipping down. Daryl Johnson says, I got no, and he suddenly went off the screen. Hang on, I'm going to go back up and find him. I got nowhere to go and nothing to do. Keep going. Oh, that sounded so tragic. Although it was almost a song there. I got nowhere to go and nothing. Yeah, I'll stop now. Oh, Superlix. Oh, thank you so much. Superlix says, how's your mom doing, Thresh? Or T-Pon specifically. My mom had to go to the hospital last week. We thought she was in tachycardia. As it turns out, she had to have a mild outpatient procedure, and the doctors think that the anesthesia they gave her was negatively impacted by the anesthesia they gave her, and and her COPD, and so they gave her some medication, and she's much, much, much better now. We're going car shopping tomorrow, if we both get up early enough. Not for me, for her, but I get to help. Quality time with mommy, and but she's doing much better. Thank you so much for asking. Um, Foundation says Power Rangers versus VR Troopers and the Visionaries. I remember the VR Troopers vaguely. I didn't watch it at the time, but my friend had small kids, and yeah, that could work. That could work. City D says, "How about AI, artificial intelligence, matched up with Hancock? Anything with Will Smith would probably fail. Although you do know Brian Aldiss wrote the short story AI is based on." Tracy Rosemary says, "I like Fago. I do too. You just can't get it on the East Coast." That's why when it is available, I get it. Uh, Hungry Jerk says they sell Fago in California. Yeah, they actually. Well, you can find it here, there, and everywhere. It's just I remember what was that? Goth in a Box. Oh, that store. There was a store, a pop culture store that used to sell it because ICP was big at the time. Zuplik says, Midwest, you are from Cape Cod. Oh, I'm not going to the Midwest to get the soda. I said the soda comes from the Midwest. It's just a novelty here because I am on Cape Cod and we normally don't stock Fago. Daryl Johnson says, Fago Beverages Inc. is a soft drink company headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. Take him to Detroit. Gary Carpenter says, I said before Henry Fonda. Yes, we've established it was actually Henry Fonda, was in fact the original dude from Yours by Nars. Lance Chafin says Fago. Did I pronounce it wrong? Sorry. Cindy D says they don't sell it in the Midwest. That's funny. Headquarters in Detroit. You can't find it in the Midwest. That's weird. Dennis Keaton says Boogie Woogie Woo ICP, and he gave a link. Trathos Myers. I am on Boston time too. Yes, you too are on the East Coast, although I'm more Easter than you are. You're actually Gulf Coast. Meh. But yes, you're on Eastern Standard Time. Gary Carpenter says, Lance, we have Fanta. Fanta is actually comes from Germany. They actually started making Fanta during World War II when Coca-Cola refused to sell their syrup to Nazi Germany. Crazy, huh? Gerald Johnson says, Land Shark. Candygram. Telegram. Holy cow, just boom. It's weird. I'll be reading coming down here all of a sudden. I had Joel Johnson, knock knock, land shark. I mean Avon. Candygram. Zuplex says, ever seen a great white? Yeah, huh? yes, I have. Liz Javen says KCMO has the best choice. Cindy D says, that's too bad, Thrash. Live and learn. I kind of I actually skipped like the last year or two because the traffic getting to the beaches when they had the fireworks were so crazy. It's like it just. I used to go there a lot when I could walk to the beach, but when we actually moved away from the waterfront area, it became too much of a chore. Anyway, Twitter Meyer says, I am sorry to hear about your mom, Robert. She's doing much, much better now. Like I say, tomorrow we're going car shopping. So knock on wood, or my desk is for Micah, knock on for Micah. CDD says, I'm glad your mom is better, Thresh. Yep, thank you. That's very, very kind of you. Good to hear. We'll have to go shopping. Funny, huh? Mm-hmm. What Jemin says, it's good to hear about your mom. Thank you. Gary Carpenter says, I don't like Nightmare Before Christmas. It's stupid. Really? I kind of liked it. I don't know, but I'm a huge fan of animation, so it's hard to make an animated film I don't like. Hungry Jerk says, I wish we had devil dogs in California. You guys don't have devil dogs. Crazy. Retro Nerd Girl says, "I am sorry to hear about your scare. I am relieved she's doing better. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's she had to go to the hospital in an ambulance. I was kind of a basket case, but she's much better now. You just never really prepared about putting your mother in an ambulance, but they took super care of her. In fact, it's a funny story. Um, well, will be when I'm done with the story. So I like literally had just gotten up out of bed when they said your daughter comes up and says your mom's looking for you. She's having a medical problem. I ran downstairs because she lives in our sub level, and when she told me she was like thought she was having a heart attack, I was going to take her to the hospital, and she goes, "No, call an ambulance, and I'll take you." And she goes, "You're wearing your pajamas." And I'm like, I don't care if I'm in my pajamas. But you're my mother. I'll take you to the hospital. But then I thought about it. Um, if even though I only live a few miles from the hospital, if I'm taking her to the hospital and something happens, I know CPR, but I'm driving. I can't really do much. Plus, the ambulances have far better equipment in them, and they're the fire station where the ambulances are kept is literally down the street from me. So, to be honest, getting the ambulance was a smart call. But I certainly would have taken you to the hospital, Mom, even though I was in my pajamas. I just wouldn't have gotten out of the car. CDD says, not, I'm guessing that's here in Kansas. They don't sell it. And I'm so we're talking about the Fago. Oh, Lance Chafin says Ghostbusters and the Monster Squad crossover. That'd be a lot of fun. I can certainly see that. Gary Carpenter says, I think the Grinch movie is terrible. I love the cartoon better. I certainly love the cartoon with the voices of Boris Karloff. Uh, skipping down. Lance Chafin says Resident Evil and Underworld crossover. Yeah, I can certainly see that. Zublik says, "Does your mom enjoy zombie films?" No, in fact, she used to chastise me for watching them when I was a kid, saying that they were gross and sick, and I couldn't really argue with her there. Foundation says Buffy versus Blade. Is it true about those two? Um, Zublik says better to call an ambulance. Yeah, it's kind of where we were. Yeah. Again, I can't give CPR with one hand and drive with the other. I'm good. I'm not that good. Um, Zublik says, "What are we talking about? Toddler's pajamas or adult PJs?" Actually, there was sort of like these. Well, the girls here call them house pants. They're those flannel, look like jogging pants, and an old ratty T-shirt. You really want to know what I wear to bed, Superplex? Weird. Uh, Tratheros Myers says, when I had COVID, I called an ambulance instead of hubby driving me. I needed the oxygen. I know what you mean, Robert. Thank you. And I'm glad you're better too, by the way. City D says, I know the best choice, not Fago. Apparently, there's a cola war going on amongst my friends of channels. Friends of channel friends. Hungry Jerk says, I live 2 blocks from Boris Koloff's house in Vallejo, California. That is cool square. It'd be even cooler if he was still around. Foundation says, gotta go, guys. It's been a blast. Foundation, thanks for joining us and keep up the great work. Oh, one thing, by the way, while I still have most, if not all of you, I just want to let you guys know. Um, do you remember ages ago, Mr. Sunstrom was going to do a live stream, a watch along party of The Last Man on Earth? Speaking of watch parties and zombie movies, well, he never got to do it, but my friend, the unapologetic geek, on his channel is going to be doing it on July 17th. He's good because he calls it public domain theater, and he's going to be live screening movies that are public domain and having watch-alongs with them. And he's going to start with The Last Man on Earth. So check it out if you get a chance. He's been doing some great stuff on his channel. So try to check him out. The Unapologetic Geek, if you get a chance. Gary Carpenter says, Hungry Jerk, I love Boris Karloff. Ken Wilkinson asked, Did you see House of Dark Shadows Thresh? I haven't. I haven't. And I'm caught up. Oh, Zuber, let's ask, isn't there a copyright issue? Not with films that have fallen into the public domain. They're not owned by anybody. Now they can come out of the public domain and then be bought by other people. But at this time, The Last Man on Earth is not currently officially owned by anyone, and thus you can show it anywhere you want. That's why it ends up on all those old classic DVDs and whatnot. Okay, so it's almost 9 o'clock. I think at 9 o'clock I should wrap things up. By the way, you know, best not to have too much of a good thing. But I'll take any last minute questions anybody can think of. For example, the Hungry Jerk says Mickey Mouse's copyright is almost up. Then public domain. I did not know that. Zuberblick says Last Man on Earth isn't under copyright. No, not at this time. Lance Chafin says Mars Attacks and Independence Day. That could be so much fun. I really think that could be a fun match. I love Mars Attacks. I love Mars Attacks. And Independence Day was pretty good. I would love to re-edit it. There were just some things about it I thought didn't work, but it could have been great. 20th Myers says, have a nice night, Robert and all, and to you as well. And thank you so much for joining us as always, Tracy, and to all you other guys as well. Cindy D says, Pizza Fix is a good public domain old movie channel. I gotta check them out. There's a lot of public domain film on YouTube right now. There's a lot that isn't public domain. And to that I say, naughty, naughty, no biscotti. Zuberlik says, still 6 minutes, Tracy. Yes, we do still have 6 minutes, but I think she was trying to get the goodbyes out of the way. You remember on Dave's channel, whenever they start up with the goodbyes, it usually people are saying goodbye for 10 minutes. It's like the Waltons. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Liz Girl. Good night, Holly Map. Good night, Tree Sap. So I think she was trying to get ahead of the curve. Let me just see. We got Cindy D says Mars Attacks was filmed in my hometown of Wichita, and it's still on the la line. It's the best I can do on such short notice. Hungry Jerk says I have a few Mars Attacks cards from the early '60s, very valuable. Wow, an old associate of mine had some of those too. Hang on to those. That's so cool. There's something on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it, but what they do is they do the entire Mars Attacks series, and he intersperses little animations and whatnot to make them more interesting. But he does from beginning to end. I have an entire box of Dinosaur Attack cards. I loved Dinosaur Attack cards. I think they would make a great movie. Speak of the devil, and the devil arrives. The Unapologetic Geek is here in the house. I may be late, but I'm here. Tug, I got to tell you, we were just talking about you. I was telling everybody about your upcoming watch party, your watch along on the 17th. And I love the name, by the way. Public Domain Theater. Love it. Love it. And I was telling everybody if they get a chance, if they're available, to check out, because a lot of people still haven't seen Last Man on Earth, even though it's possibly my favorite rendition of I Am Legend. My least favorite, of course, being the Will Smith version. But we were just talking about you, and hopefully everyone, if not most, will make it. But yeah, sadly, we're wrapping up at 9, so so I'm very glad you can make it. But you can actually get most of our content in a rewatch. Funny. Daryl Johnson says, ack. I hope he's not telling us that he's actually dying. I can't give the Heimlich maneuver through a screen. Let's see what else we got going on here. The Unapologetic also says we're plugging. I'll come in again. We're plugging my public. I'll come in again. Where were you? I see it says we're. Damn you, autocorrect. Were you plugging my public domain theater? Yes, I was extensively. And everyone is committed to go and tell all their friends. Right, guys? Gary Carpenter says, Happy 4th to everyone in America. That's a spirit. God bless us all, everyone. Unapologetic Geek says, I simply adore Vincent Price. How could one not? He was a national treasure. Danny Staten says, Fireworks just set the woods on fire behind my neighbor's house. Well, call the fire department for the love of God. Zuplex says, Good night, John Boy. Hungry Jerk says, George Romero didn't protect the living dead. He said that a big regret. Actually, what had happened was he didn't realize he was a very, very, very junior filmmaker at the time, and he didn't realize in those days you had to register your films to get the rights for them. Now, I believe since 1972, copyright it's automatic. You make a film, it's obviously your intellectual property. But back then, if you went oops, anybody could just take it from you. It just seems stupid to have to register your own work, but yeah, that's what happened there. Zurbuck says, I hope they put out the fire. Yes, for the love of God, I hope they put out the fire. Whisper the Freak says, that are y'all playing geek? Yes, he's going to be airing the Vincent Price classic film. Oh, Whisper the Freak loves Vincent Price. We were talking about that earlier, but he's going to be showing. I just said it like 8 times. Last Men on Earth, which is of course based on the I Am Legend novella written by Richard Matheson, possibly one of the best sci-fi horror short novels ever written. If I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was the first work that actually made the distinction between zombies and vampires. A vampire being a they're the undead, but they're still lucid and have their faculties and whatnot, whereas a zombie is just a reanimated corpse. There's no higher brain functions. But I don't want to give too much of the game away. Skipping down. Zublik says, Night of Living Dead made lynch mobs into heroes. I keep vigilantes and lynch mobs are not necessarily the same thing, Superplex. Stop trying to stir the anthill. But they do make an excellent. If you watch the documentary Horror Noir, they discuss that topic at some length. Whisper the Freak said, Sweet, your autocorrect translation skills are remarkable. It kind of comes with the territory. That's why sometimes if you think that I've like lost the ability to read, I'm not having a stroke. It's just I'm trying to like determine what the person was trying to type as opposed to what autocorrect presented to us. Hungry Jerk says, Come on up, Morgan. You mean Neville? That's the refrain from I Am Legend, but it may have been. Is it Morgan in the movie? I honestly can't remember. I haven't seen the movie in a couple years. Well, last Halloween. Superboy says, "Did you know zombies originated in Haiti?" Actually, okay, all right. The first reference in Western civilization to the undead is actually in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Long story short, Ishtar is trying to get into the underworld to get her boyfriend back. Tammuz, who, even though he's a demigod, had died and was cast into the underworld, and she's trying to get him out. And her sister, who controls the underworld, is being pissy and saying, No, I'm not going to let you in. I'm busy. And Ishtar kind of hits the ceiling and she goes, I will kick open the gates of hell. I will smash the lock. I will tear the gate off the posts, and the dead will walk among the living, and the dead will consume the living. Consume, overwhelm, ingest. The translation doesn't. It's open to interpretations, but it's the first reference to the undead coming back to the world in a comatose state and overwhelming the living. And that's from the Epic of Gilgamesh, which I believe is about 5,000 years old. And so, did that somehow make it to Haiti? Possibly. But those were actually different types of zombies. That's more of your black magic zombie as opposed to a um, zombie apocalypse. Oh, and Danny Stanton says all the best movie and TV stuff with cool music. Also check out Daily Dan's The Good Stuff, and he gives a link. He also had some great stuff involving Cyndi Lauper's concert and the Croft Con experience. Check out Danny Staten. He has some great stuff on all of his channels. So yeah, definitely check him out. And he and I are compiling information for an upcoming collaboration we're going to be doing on Bigfoot and Wild Boy, the Croft Classic. Retro Nerd Girl says, I only saw The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price last year, and it was wonderful. But Omega Man has a special place in my heart for nostalgic reasons. More than understand. Don't trust me. Omega Man is an amazing film. And so remember we were speaking of Night of the Comet? You know how I've said on several occasions, Night of the Comet is basically a love letter to post-apocalyptic film. There's a scene where she's fighting the zombie stock boys in the mall and does that scene where she stands between two mannequins and strikes a pose to catch them off balance and then opens up with her automatic weapon. That is taken directly from Omega Man, where the young lady that Charlton Heston ends up becoming romantically involved with. He looks for her in a shopping mall, and she's actually trying to freeze as a mannequin in one scene. So yes, no, Omega Man is an absolute classic. The Unapologetic Geek says it is Morgan in the movie. Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember if that was the case, but that certainly makes perfect sense. Gary Carpenter says I'm drinking clear American water, peach flavored. Well, I hope that quenches your thirst. Unapologetic says hitting my keyboard. If you guys go blank, it's because I accidentally keep hitting my screen. Wow, going way back there, Thrash. Yeah, yes, I do. It is what I do. Zubook says, chill out, Ishtar. CDD says, nice sounds tasty, Gary Carpenter. Okay. The Unapologetic Geek says, wasn't there a Wes Craven movie about the Haitian zombie mythos? Yes, there was. It's one of my brother-in-law's favorite movies, and I can't think of the title to save my life. I'll probably know when I hear it, but yeah, yes, there was. Daryl Johnson says voodoo. Yes, the voodoo black magic was the original basis in modern Western zombie folklore. The idea about the zombie apocalypse and the dead simply rising came later. Unapologetic Geek says the Serpent of the Rainbow. Thank you. I knew there was some multicolor thing going on somewhere. Hungry Jerk says, oh yeah, Tom went to the Croft Con. Yeah, Tom says Croft Con was so much fun. Gary Carpenter says, I hope she'll get better soon. I'm referring to my mom. Yeah, she's doing much better. So thank you. I'll pass on your all your well wishes. Hungry Jerk says, I love the Omega Man. I really did too. I think The Last Man on Earth is possibly the best rendition of I Am Legend, but Omega Man was an excellent rendition. Oh, okay. All right. Can anybody name all 4 post-apocalyptic films Charlton Heston starred in, or at least appeared in? Denny Staten got to chart Change phones. I think the charge phones. Change phones. Yes, he was having trouble with his friend. He was having trouble with his phone the other night. Hungry Jerk says Rosalind Cash. Not sure what that's in reference to, but she was cool. The Unapologetic Geek says, I prefer the mandarin orange flavored clear American. There used to be a very fine lime, and it was the best water on the planet. And now all you can find is the fizzy water. I like just the plain, flat, lime flavored water. It was delicious. Skipping down. Oh, Rosalind Cash was an Omega. Okay, thank you. You know what? For some reason, all I was thinking was Johnny Cash's last wife, June Carter Cash. But yes, Rosalind Cash. She was in, she was in something else too, and I can't remember. I was reading up on her. She was in something else that was an excellent film for that time frame. She passed on, I'm afraid, but yeah, she was excellent. She was excellent. Daryl Johnson did Soylent Green. Okay, yeah, we have two. We have Soylent Green. We have the Omega Man. He was in two other post-apocalyptic films. The Unapologetic Geek says, I'll sit this one out because I have an unfair advantage. Yes, in fact, I think you and I already talked about this. Daryl Johnson said, It's people, it's made of people. Yes, it is. One of the funniest things SNL ever did was it was a Siskel and Ebert style film review show, and it was today we'll be reviewing the um, Soylent Green 2, the sequel. It's still people. It's still people. And for some reason, I just thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And of course, it was the late, great Phil Hartman, rest in peace, doing his best Charles impression. But I mean, come on. It's like, it was funny because you saw it coming. Skipping down. Zublick's got it. Planet of the Apes, but at the Planet of the Apes, Soylent Green, and Omega Man. Yes, that's all four. And Hungry Jerk says autocorrect not working. Good. I'll probably be able to read people's print from now on. Oh, and Hungry Jerk also says Planet of the Apes. So yeah, you guys got this. You guys got this. Excellent, excellent. Oh, and Zublik says it tastes like chicken. Haha, very funny. Okay, what more trivia question? What Harry Harrison novel was Soylent Green based on? Cindy D says, I hated Planet of the Apes. You hated Planet of the Apes? It was my life. I loved Planet of the Apes. Oh, it's a free country. Well, no one's really rushing to the board. Oh, Unapologetic Geek says, I know, I know. I had a feeling you'd know. Why don't we give everybody just another minute? Oh, Daily Dan has his Good Stuff channel. Again, he has 3 channels, and they're all amazing. So you got to check out Daily Dan. But there's some video he's just posted about fireworks. Zublik says failed. I don't know. It's okay, Zublik. You can't know them all. Daryl Johnson says, "Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape." Good quote, but that's not the answer I was looking for. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Give everybody just another minute. Retro Nerd Girl, do you know? Let's see. Lottie-dee, lottie-dee, lottie-dee. Okay, I'm going to break the silence and tell you. It was a Harry Harrison novel, Make Room, Make Room. And the two differ wildly. In fact, it's my understanding Harry Harrison didn't like the movie. One of the things that bothered him most about it, he said everybody was too well fed. Well, in his future New York, malnutrition would be a constant problem. So unfortunately, they just weren't able to find enough very skinny Americans to fill all the parts. That's something I believe I actually mentioned that in one of my post-apocalyptic films. You'd almost have to go get a bunch of cancer patients to play the characters because, unfortunately, as a people, we tend to be fairly well fed. And you can't fat shame people just to get them to star in your post-apocalyptic movie. Oh, Retro Nerd Girl says, now I know. Zuplik says, wasn't Harry Harrison a DJ? I'm speaking of the sci-fi author, probably best known for writing the Bill the Galactic Hero series and the Stainless Steel Rat books. But he may have also been a DJ. The Unapologetic Geek says Harrison hated the movie and he snuck on set while they were filming and passed out copies of the book, hoping to change the outcome. I never knew that last part. I never knew he snuck onto the set. Wow, I believe it, but I did not know that. Azublik said you would have you would have to cast Edgar G. Robinson then. Edgar G. Robinson was in the movie, you wise guy. And dying of cancer when he makes it. And apparently some people say this isn't exactly how it happened. Well, let's just say opinions are differed. Um, now, as most people know, Edward G. Robinson and Charlton Heston were long-term friends. Long-term friends. And as we were just discussing, Edward G. Robinson was dying of cancer when he made Soylent Green. I had heard a story that that scene that he and Heston did where they're saying goodbye to each other was actually done deliberately because Charlton Heston wanted to literally say goodbye to Edward G. Robinson and have it captured, albeit as a private joke between the two of them, but have it captured in this film. Other people say Edward G. Robinson kept his sickness to himself and that even Chuck didn't know about it. So you can believe the anecdote or not, but whenever I watch that scene, I'm like, it really looks like they're really saying goodbye to each other. And it's a fantastic scene either way. Let's see. The Unapologetic says that's why they pay me the big bucks. Well, they don't pay me the big bucks, and I know stuff too. The Unapologetic Geek says also Robinson was supposed to be Dr. Zayas as well. Yes, he actually did a screen test, and he did an amazing job. Although his Dr. Zayas was a little less filled with righteous indignation, but he did an amazing job. But he said he just couldn't handle the makeup. He wouldn't be able to handle a shooting schedule. He barely got through the screen test. Oh, Gary Carpenter asks, "How old is your mom?" She would kill me. She would kill me if she knew I was telling you this. She's 76. She was a very young woman when she had me. I'll be 55 in August. But yeah, she's 76 years old. Daily Dan says, I didn't know that. Cool trivia, yes. I know we have them from time to time. Cindy D says, loved Edward G. Robinson. He didn't fit in the Ten Commandments, though. I thought he didn't. Yeah, they cast a lot of people in that movie for star power over appropriateness of the casting decision. Um, I think he wanted to make that film. I think he wanted to do a biblical epic, much like Charlton Heston did, and he probably pushed for it. And again, he did have a lot of star power at that time, so that's probably why the studios let him. But yeah, well, very. Is it just me or none of the people in that movie look Middle Eastern? Although, how can you not love, you know, just based on his name? Oh, oh, the guy who played Pharaoh Ramses. But yeah, him. How can you not love him? Yul Brenner. How can you not love Yul Brenner as the Pharaoh? Moses. He was awesome, and I'm so ashamed I had to think about that. Let's see. Hungry Jerk says Dave's birthday is this month. He'll be 58, I think. Yeah, I'll be 55. I'm a few years younger than Dave. Superlick says it was an epic, not an accurate recreation. Tell me about it. City D says, "Yep, thrash, LOL, Yul Brenner." Yeah, I knew if I just looked down, someone would tell me, but it was important to me that I get it on my own. By the way, I just saw this Magnificent Seven uh, just the other night again. By the way, okay, another trivia question. Name two, name two of the three movies based on Seven Samurai, and I just gave you one. So naming another should be easy. But I'm just going to skip down here. Cindy D says, I'm 55. I turned in February. You're still a young lady. Daryl Johnson said, Cecil B. DeMille and Edward G. Robinson were friends. I'm sure I knew that. Anyone else get to the point where you know so many trivial facts, sometimes you can't store them all? Zubik says, Russian accent pharaoh. Yeah, Moses, Moses, Moses. Um, Daily Dan says, I'm only 56. Tom says 58 in October. Retro Nerd Girl says Battle Beyond the Stars, Magnificent Seven, Message from Space. Yes, yes, I hadn't even thought of Message from Space. I'll take your word for it. I was actually going with A Bug's Life. Yeah, check out A Bug's Life. It actually is the Magnificent Seven. They get around copyright laws though because two of the pill bugs count as one. So there's actually eight of them. But yeah, but Bug's Life is loosely based on the Magnificent Seven. Um, Message. Why is Message from Space ringing a bell? I'll have to check it out. Duplex is mentioning all the Magnificent Seven movies, so I'll accept them all. And holy cow, look who's here! The Life and Sad Ending is here. You got to check out the Life and Sad Ending, folks. He does some amazing things, spotlighting some of Hollywood's biggest icons who are no longer with us. Some we've lost recently, some we lost some time ago, but deserve to be recognized. And he brings out some great entertainment, so check him out. And Steve, it's so nice to see. I'm glad you could make it, even though we were supposed to wrap up 20 minutes ago. We're just having too much fun, so we'll keep it going for a bit longer. Retro Nerd Girl says, "Oh, A Bug's Life, sweet." Yeah, I'm sorry, I love that movie. I think it's adorable. Zuperlik says 64, but going on 65 to life. Unapologetic Geek says, love the Bug's Life insight. It really holds water. Check it out, it holds water. What Jimin says, I will be 50 in December. You young whippersnapper. And the Daily Dan's the good stuff says, laugh out loud. And I'm trying to think if I have any more trivia. It's a sad day when I run out of trivia. Feel free to hit me up with trivia too, by the way. I love getting hit with the trivia questions, and then I use them on other people. Oh, let's see. The Unapologetic Geek says, I feel young. Yeah, you're what, 37? No, he's actually in his 40s, but he is the youngest out of us. Retro Nerd Girl says we'll be 52 in August. August 18. Yeah, I'm an August birth as well. Unapologetic Geek says 43. That's actually younger than I thought you were. And you actually might be the youngest person here on this chat tonight. Gary Carpenter says Independence Day in V. I'm assuming he's going back to a mashup. That would be excellent, particularly if the two alien species fought each other. There was an old movie about that, wasn't there, where the two alien races both come to conquer Earth, but then end up fighting each other, so each side could get the spoils for their own people. And I can't for the life remember what it was, but take my word for it. Life and Sad Ending says just finished watching season 1 of Deadwood for the third time. I've never seen Deadwood. I do occasionally like westerns. Did you ever see Hell on Wheels? I thought Hell on Wheels was amazing. But yeah, I don't see a lot of westerns. I do enjoy them, but there's so much that I've been trying to keep up on as of late. Let's see what else we got going on here. Oh, and by the way, as a reminder, I am on the Action Elite this coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. we're going to be doing, each member is going to be covering their five favorite uh, John Carpenter films. You could probably name my five off the top of your head. I'm sure you people can probably figure that one out. But yeah, we're going to be discussing each member's five favorite John Carpenter films, and that's on the Action Elite this coming Wednesday, right here on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Zublik says, "Wasn't that a biker film?" Which film? I forget what we were talking about. Oh, Mike Silva in the house. Mike Silva says the Twilight Zone rocks. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And Mike Silva then goes on to say the 1959 version. I like the 80s version, but again, I think the original was the best. Oh, Zuberblick says, but Dave's on Wednesday. Yes, Daily Dan and Dave Sundstrom also have a show on Wednesday. So if you don't pick mine, please pick theirs. I would live nicely with either one, and then watch the other one on a replay, or skip back and forth. I might do that myself. The unapologetic geek says, I still haven't come up with a definite top five. I will have it ironed out. Well, I mean, the top three are easy. You got The Thing, you got The Fog, you got we were just talking about Escape from New York, and then the rest I'm kind of um, uh, the bottom two are going to be a battle, but I'm sure I can run up five very easily. Halloween is definitely on there, and then I'm probably going to go with the cop movie for the last one. Mike Silva says, "Sorry, I was late, guys. Just came in from Providence, Rhode Island fireworks." Yes, Mike, I keep forgetting that you're a New Englander, much like me. You know they canceled our fireworks here in Cape Cod because of that darn Piper Clover. Apparently, the fireworks distress the Piper Clover, so they've canceled fireworks on the Mid Cape. The fascists. Superlook says, "Oh, Hell on Wheels." No, Hell on Wheels is about the creation of the first rail line, east and west, which bound the country together. Um, and it's excellent. Daryl Johnson says Deadwood had steampunk bikers. It did. I'll take your word for it. Um, Mike Silva says, "Hi, hungry." Daryl Johnson says, "Not really. I lied." That would be cool. Gary Carpenter says, "The $6 Million Man and the Bad Woman meet Knight Rider all over it." Zuplik says, "HBO is sex and curse words, and the critics call it quality television." I've never called HBO quality television. Tom the Hungry Jerk says, "Our fireworks started a couple of hours." Oh, our fireworks started a couple hours. There are people here with illegal fireworks, and they're making huge use of that. The Life and Sad ending says, "Was Assault on Precinct 13 a Carpenter film?" Yeah, that was the one. I was saying that I was probably going to go with the cop film for number five, just because that one just worked on so many levels. But yeah, that's probably my number five. But like I said, I already have a top four, and the trick is just because I like more than five of his movies. So, but I mean, the top four, the easy part, just settling on the last one. Mike Silva said The Outer Limits, 1963. Loved it, loved it. Of course, the episode Soldier was the basis for the Terminator movie, the first Terminator movie. The Unapologetic Geek says the original was, referring to an earlier question I'm sure we had. Oh, the original Assault on Precinct 13. Yes, now I got you. That's what I thought you meant, but I just want to make positively sure. Daily Dan says, I barely can hear you for all the fireworks. I assume you mean the fireworks on your end, but if you hear some popping in the background, yeah, it's because some guys are out on Pons' Pond lighting off fireworks, and they sound like some pretty professional grade ones, too. So I can hear, I have my headphones on. I can still hear the booming and popping. At least my neighbor's dog stopped barking. Great dog, but just wouldn't stop barking today. Duplex says, I thought Hell on Wheels was a Roger Corman American International film. Are you still on that? No, it's about the building of the railroad. There may be something else, but not the TV series I was talking about. Mike Silva says, a lot of fireworks at my group home where I live in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Yeah. Um, Glad you guys can still have your fireworks. They cancel them here for us. Oh well, it's such a pain in the backside getting to the beaches for fireworks on Cape Cod because there's limited number of roads. Um, I probably wouldn't have gone anyway. Hungry Jerk says, love American International movies. Yeah, me too. Mike Silva says, love Roger Corman movies. I live for Roger Corman movies. I used to watch them all the time on Creature Double Feature when I was a kid. Mike Silva says, every 50s and 60s sci fi horror B movie ever made. Same here, bro. Same here. The Unapologetic Geek says, and Yul Brynner was a template for the Terminator from his performance as the gunslinger. I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. Mike Silva says the invasion of the big girls movie. Dilly Dan says, no, it's like World War II here. And let's see. Cindy D says, I don't go to fireworks much anymore. Too Thresh. Yeah, it's just a pain to get to them and stuff, but it's still a bummer that they cancel them. The restaurant I work at, actually, you can actually see the fire when they had them. You could see the fireworks from their parking lot. The trick is just getting home and not hitting all that traffic. Daily Den's Good still says, my neighbors set the woods behind their house on fire with the fireworks. You mentioned that before. Is this fire still burning? You may want to call the fire department. Mike Silva says Moon 02 movie unwatchable. I don't think I've seen that one. Oh, and he goes on to ask about Dan, where Dan's from. Dan is from South Carolina, although apparently has never been to Ocean Island, which is the only part of South Carolina I've ever been to. So there's not much geography between us. I have a father who lives in Raleigh, and my sister lives in Wilmington. She just moved to the coast, Wilmington, North Carolina. I heard you folks are looking at some hurricane activity possibly moving in. Hopefully, nothing too severe. The Apologetic Geek says B Girls was written by Nicholas Meyer. I did not know that. Mike Silva says it's on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of the old ones are on YouTube. Dilly Dan the Good Stuff says I'm sitting outside and all I can see is literally every direction is fireworks. Crazy. Zublik says Yul Brynner played a gunslinger in Westworld, a precursor to Jurassic Park. Yes, they were both written by Michael Crichton. In fact, a lot of people criticized him for writing two movies about apocalyptic theme parks. Mike Silva says, agreed, geek. Love it. Dan says, greetings from South Carolina, or what's left of it. The Life in Setting says, you must be a patient man, Bob. I worked retail and was always in trouble for not treating the jerk customers nice. It's a challenge sometimes, but it just kind of comes with the territory. Daryl Johnson says, oh, by the way, what retail outfit did you work for, by the way? I did retail for years myself, actually. Most favorite job still had to have been, though, the sell-through video store, Suncoast Video. Same outfit as Sam Goody. Daryl Johnson says, still light out and the morons around here are shooting fireworks. Well, yeah, you get to start out. Actually, fireworks are really fascinating in twilight. There's something about the red sky in the background of the fireworks that can be really cool. I noticed that when I was a kid. Oh, the Unapologetic says I'm actually on vacation in South Carolina. Oh, small world. Ocean Island. Cindy D says the customer's always right. Yeah, you know who says that? Customers who are wrong. I found the more likely a customer is to throw that out at you, the more likely they are to be full of crap. And because that's like their saving throw, that's like their cloak of invincibility. It's the defense of the people who have no other. I actually mentioned that in my book. Mike Silva said, "This movie is so bad and utterly ridiculous that it is actually good. I still cannot get out of my head the idea of Wookiees putting on red robes, holding these magical orbs." Well, when you put it like that, Hungry Jerk says, "I'm not good with customers. I can only take so much verbal abuse." Well, we're all in the same boat. Life and Setting says, "I was in the swimming pool industry in sales and management for 30 years." Wow. 30 years. And I imagine because a swimming pool is both a luxury and a high ticket item, you probably got a lot of very, very demanding people. I just sold movies for like 14.99 a unit. Cindy D says, "LOL, it's their saving grace. Thrash, I worked at Sears for 9 years. Saw a lot. Ooh, Sears. Oh, I'm so sorry, miss." Mike Silva, "I'm talking about the Star Wars Holiday Special movie." Oh, yes, we were talking about it on something else. But yes, the whole Mystic Wookiee thing. I was just talking with somebody about that the other day. In fact, I thought it was you. Well, if I wasn't nice to talk about it this time. Oh. Mike Silva says Sears is now closed. Yes, good riddance. Ooh. The Unapologetic Geek says, "Wasn't one of the actors in Moon 02 also in the Andromeda Strain?" That's somewhere in my brain. That sounds right. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Oh, and he says, "I'm up on Rock Hill." There's a song in there somewhere. "You're as welcome as the." Anyway. Retro Niggle says, "I caught a lady stealing and she had the nerve to say the customer is always right. I had to remind her she was not a customer yet. You have to pay for it first." Score, direct hit. You you hit nail, wham, right on the head. Customers buy things. When you steal things, you are not a customer, you are a criminal. The Apologetic Geek says, "Got family up here." That's cool. Mike Silva says, "I think so." Yeah, because I could have sworn we were just talking about the Star Wars Holiday Special not too long ago. Uh, Mike Silva says McDonald commercials were great. Yeah, they really were. Cindy D says, "I worked there in the 80s and early 90s. Gary Carpenter says, "I have relatives in Chester County." Live in Editing says, "Jordan the Lion visited Leslie Nielsen's grave. He was great in The Forbidden Planet and his second comedy career." He was, and he was. He was amazing. See, a lot of people don't realize Leslie Nielsen started out as sort of a big leading man. He always kind of had a little bit of humor behind it, but he started out he was more of an action star. And yes, he was great both as action and comedian. Retro Negro says, "Thanks at the Apologetic Geek." And oh, it looks like some people are already signing off. Yeah, we actually kind of should be wrapping this up, folks. I mean, I know we're all having fun. I'll skip down here for a few more questions. Daily Dan says, "Rock Hill is only 45 minutes from me, and my ex-wife grandma lived there in Frick's family." Unapologetic Geek says, "Forbidden Planet is one of my absolute favorites. Lizzie Nielsen is actually a good, serious leading man. He sure is." And then Daryl Jones, and then he did Airplane. Yes, he did. Anyway, folks, I have had so much fun tonight. Remember, we were going to wrap this up around 9, and then 9:30. It seems like a lot of people are kind of wrapping things up. I want to thank every single one of you who was able to join tonight. To all of you who didn't join tonight and are watching me in replay, thanks for joining me in replay. Be sure to leave some nice comments in the comments section below, and the likes and the subscribes and all the things I ask you to do. I'm not sure what my schedule is for next week, so I'm not sure I'll be able to bring you a live chat in the next week, but I will certainly give it the old college try. Um, as might try to do something on weekends in the upcoming future. But anyway, um, folks out there, be safe, be good, be careful, and I'm looking to see you all again very, 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 very soon. Happy 4th, guys. Good night.